Sixth grade lesson 12.8 is problem solving using data displays. This is just the wrapping up of all of the information we covered in chapter 12. This is the last lesson of the chapter. So it's going to deal with data displays, particularly the dot plots. We used the dot plots the most, so there's going to talk about the dot plots a little bit more and put them into action to solve problems. Maybe talk about mean, median, and mode again. Remember, mean is the average where we add everything together in the data set and divide by how many were in the data set. Median is the middle, just like when you're on the freeway, that middle barrier is called the median. Median is in the middle. So you would line up all the numbers from least to greatest, and then the number that's right in the middle would be the median. And the mode is like you had a cold and you wanted some more. It's the number that shows up most often, the mode. Or maybe the word most sounds like mode when you have a cold. So it's the number in the data set that repeats the most often. Sometimes there isn't one. If there isn't a number that repeats at all, then you can say there's no mode. And if you have a couple of numbers that repeat equal amounts, then you can have two or more modes. That happens sometimes too. So there's a quick review of that, and let's go ahead and look at the examples, just to brush off those cobwebs or clarify anything, and then you'll be good and ready to handle the independent practice just fine. All right, so our first example is that there are 32 students in the history club that are researching their family histories so they can draw family trees. The data set at the right shows the number of aunts and uncles the students have. What is the most common number of aunts and uncles among the students in the club? So we'll use this graphic organizer here to help us solve the problem. So here's our information. They're looking up aunts and uncles in their family tree. Number of aunts and uncles for all 32 of the students. Some had 4, 3, or one person had 4, 3, 2, 4, and on and on. What do I need to find? I need to find the most common number. That's what they asked for. What is the most common number of aunts and uncles in there? So we're going to go ahead and put in the most common number of aunts and uncles among the students. The most common number in a data set is the mode, the most repeated, right? And I need to use the number of aunts and uncles each student has from the table. Aunts, uncles. I can draw a diagram that shows the amount of each value in the data set, and the best way to do that is to do a dot plot that will show the amount of each one. So we can make a dot plot of all the data. So we have this 4 we'll put here, the 3 we'll put here, and I'm not going to make you sit through that whole thing. You go ahead and dot plot yours, I'll dot plot mine, we'll compare. So pause your video. Okay, and I did my dot plot. It kind of went off kilter a little bit, but it looks like that. And the mode is the data value with the most dots, the mode. The data value with the most dots is 4. It was a close race between 4 and 3. They were climbing up there both pretty quickly. So the most common number of aunts and uncles is 4. So they wanted most common. We're going to use mode, the one that's most repeated. Okay, let's look at another example. The table shows the attendance for the Pittsburgh Pirates' last 25 home games in the 2009 baseball season. What percent of the games were attended by at least 25,000 people? And these numbers are in thousands, so they mean 12,000, 13,000. So we're going to go through and look for how many were attended by at least 25,000. We're needing 25,000 or more. So what do I need is to find out how many were 25,000 or more. So I'm going to go through and circle those. There's this one. There's this one. There's this one. And this one and this one. What information do I need to use? Well, I needed the table of information. And I needed to know the number of 25K or more. How am I going to use that information? I'm going to compare the number of 25K or more items and divide it by the total possible amount of games of 25. That's how I'm going to use that. So I ended up having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of the 25 games be attended by 25,000 or more. So I'm going to find out what percent that is. I can do that in one of two ways. I can do 5 divided by 25 and get the decimal and move that decimal 2 spots over to make it a percent, over to the right. Or if I notice this denominator, remember percent is always out of 100. So if I remember that this denominator is needs to be 100, I can think about, is there an easy way to make 25 become 100? Can I multiply it by something to become 100? Yeah, I can multiply that by a 4, and that makes that 100. Do the same to the numerator. So this is 20%. So my answer is 20% of the games that were attended last year, at the end of last year, was by at least 25,000 people. So that's how you find that, is taking skills from way back, tying it together with the skills from this chapter. So, and that happens a lot. So make sure you're getting deep understanding of each lesson, but also keep in mind, be patient with yourself. Sometimes it needs a little dust off of how to do it. So hopefully that helped with that. You should be fine on this lesson. I think you're going to do great.